Update. Broke up with girlfriend over comments she made about my best friend. Original post. I broke up with my girlfriend over her comments about my best friend. Now everyone is calling me stupid. TW. Saw an R.P. mentioned. Made an impulsive update 48 hours after my original post because of a gross DM I got. Luckily the mod team stopped me from posting it, so I could give you guys a proper update now. They also asked for screenshots of the DMs and the user ended up getting banned from the subreddit, then banned from Reddit as a whole. I just want to thank the mod team for that because with what was going on at the time, I didn't need DMs like that. So it's been a few months since I broke up with my ex. I wanted to thank all of you for your kind comments and suggestions. With my and his older brother's help, Alex contacted the police and reported her harassment of him as well as filed for a restraining order. Her parents ended up settling outside of court for a small amount and took the money out of my ex's college fund. Alex just wanted the restraining order but his parents and myself pushed him to get financial compensation. It wasn't much but it was enough that she could no longer attend her dream school. I know because she wouldn't stop posting about it for weeks after it happened. She lasted a week before breaking the restraining order and messaging Alex. He just ignored her and she started pushing the boundaries more. Messaging him. Getting others. She has a very small group of friends left that still believe her side of the story. To message him. Tagging him in her posts until he told her to stop. She argued back but backed off when he reminded her of the restraining order and that she shouldn't be contacting him. That was about a month ago and she hasn't tried to pull anything else since. Second part to the update. While I would defiantly do all the things I did for Alex for any of my friends, I don't think I care for him as just a friend, and it's low-key kinda freaking me out. I don't think I should say anything right now because of what is going on, but even when it might be an appropriate time, I have no idea what I should do. Sorry, small panicky rant over. Again, thanks to everyone for helping me and Alex. I hope you all have wonderful days, nights. Geez, your ex is crazy. Having such an unpopular opinion is one thing, but she didn't have to escalate the entire thing to such a degree. Glad your friend had her reported, but she's obviously learned nothing if she was stupid enough to continue contact after losing her college fund. Your second update's pretty adorable. Don't be too scared of the confusion. Sexuality can be pretty fluid at times, so don't overthink it. Treat him like any other crush, just don't forget your friends first, and you'll be fine. I am glad she received actual punishment for what she did and that she couldn't go to her dream school. But I'm furious that she still went after him for a while. She had little to no friends left, can't go to her dream school, is in trouble with her parents and she still thinks she in the right somehow? I can even understand that. Also about your second point. That's significant other cute. I don't really have any advice how you could go about doing that, but I think you should give it a shot when you feel like the time is right. Also, you mentioned this DM you got. If you still have access to it, would you mind putting it in the comments? It's okay if you don't have it or don't want to. I'm glad you and Alex are doing better. I am glad you helped your friend and the ex got punished for her actions. Now as far as your feelings, this is something you need to figure out before you bring it up with Alex. The two of you have a bond, and you definitely love him as a friend, and yes, it may be more. You may want to try a therapist that specializes in LGBT field to talk things out, or how to help you discover your feelings. I'm sorry he had to go through with that and she was so horribly insensitive. You're a good friend. Alex should report her violations of the restraining order to the police, because violating such an order is a separate punishable offense and she obviously didn't learn her lesson. Here in Texas, committing 2 or more violations within a 12-month period is a felony. You're a good friend and a good human. Heart. You are a good friend. I'm glad your ex faced consequences. Your ex-girlfriend is a complete idiot with all the respect. She is using the same arguments some men use when a woman gets sexually assaulted. The way she is reacting is completely out of place. And yes, women suffer more so than men, but it doesn't mean men are not sexually assaulted. Besides, your friend was a kid that was groomed. For her to say she felt sorry for the therapist is disgusting. Your ex is not a good person. And about you and Alex. Wait a little bit to voice what you feel. Everything is going to be alright, heart. My 35 female dad, 77 male, wants me to apologize to his girlfriend, 77 female. So my dad's girlfriend got my daughter a nightlight type thing for Christmas. She chose to spend the day with friends whilst my dad spent Christmas with myself and my brother. My dad brought the nightlight with him when he came over on Christmas Day. Christmas Day was busy to say the least. My daughter woke me up at 5:45 a.m. After present opening came dinner prep and getting dressed up, etc. By the time everyone left mine on the day, it was around 8 p.m. I did the dishes and was asleep by 9:30. Boxing Day, yesterday, was spent tidying up the utter mess from the day before and finding places to store the newly acquired things and getting ready to travel to my nephew's birthday party today. I also fell asleep pretty early again. That brings us to today. My dad phoned me to tell me that his girlfriend started an argument with him because I haven't said anything about the nightlight. She doesn't have Facebook and I don't have her number because we're not close like that. So I said that anyone who sent a gift will be getting a thank you within the next day or two, and that it's not something that needs to be an issue because most people are just generally quite busy right now with a schedule that's just non-existent. He's told me that I need to apologize for not saying thank you to her in what she sees as an appropriate amount of time. I don't think I've done anything that needs to be apologized for, but he's told me that if I care about him I will do this. It's been difficult to try and bond with her because she sees almost everything as a slight against her. For example, she doesn't have kids of her own, so early in their relationship she got annoyed that my brother and I would phone our dad just to have a chat. She thought that we were deliberately doing it to annoy her and to take him away from spending time with her. I will be sending a thank you note to everyone, including her, but I don't see the need to apologize for something so ridiculous, but if I don't it's apparently going to cause issues with my dad's relationship with her. What do I do? TLR. Dad's girlfriend is annoyed that I haven't said anything about a Christmas gift yet. Caused an argument between them and now I apparently need to apologize. If it were me, for the sake of my dad I would say something like, "I heard you were upset that I didn't thank you for the gift. I'm sorry you felt that way. It generally takes me a couple days to send out thank yous. Yours is on the way." It's kind of one of those battles I wouldn't pick. Your life though, so totally your call, you weren't in the wrong. I certainly don't think you have any obligation to apologize, and I'd be cautious about setting a precedent here. I'm not going to spend my life caving to silly demands like this just to save someone's feelings when I think they're being unreasonable. This might be a pick your battles situation for you depending on what type of relationship you have with her. I have an auntie where I occasionally nod and go with it for the sake of seeing her once every 2 years, but I see it as a quality of life decision. I keep her at arm's length. I'd be inclined to do whatever makes your life easier on this one. Send the thank you as you normally would have. I don't know, should I feel sorry for this 77-year-old person or should I be fascinated because she is such a brat at her age? Your dad's girlfriend is being unreasonable. I would ignore the request and just send a thank you like you normally would. You don't owe her an apology at all. Your dad should be apologizing to you for not calling out the nonsensical, overly sensitive and self-centered response of his GF. I can't imagine being that upset 2 days later over a nightlight. Geez. Make her wait for the thank you that you were planning to send and don't entertain an apology. I lost my dad to a woman like this. One Father's Day I called in the afternoon instead of the morning. It was my then husband's first Father's Day. She told me that I was dead to him. One of dozens of examples of her being manipulative. If I were you I'd say something like, "I'm sorry you were given grief over this. If girlfriend has a problem with my behavior, please have her speak to me directly. It's not fair of her to ask you to be in the middle." This may be the stupidest thing you'll hear from a 13-year-old. I just need to talk to somebody. Long story long, I knew this girl for like the last 3-4 years. I'm 13 now, she's 14. Her mother is my math teacher, a very kind teacher, so from time to time I would just go to her house to help me at math, so those were like the only times I would see her, because we're not at the same school. Nothing special until this year. At the start of this school year, in my country, the COVID situation was good and there weren't a lot of restrictions, so our teacher, her mother, planned a 3-day trip, and brought her daughter with us. We found that we share a lot of passions, so we got along really well in those 3 days. I started to like her, but didn't really thought about it. We've seen a few times after that, but again, nothing special until this week. Wednesday was last day of school before the Christmas holiday, but that evening I got a message from her asking if I wanted to come ice skating with her. Of course I said yes, so the next day we went and had a lot of fun at the ice park. I think that is how it's called in English, correct me if I'm wrong. When we left, because our houses are in the same direction, we went together. When we arrived at her place, she invited me in. She was home alone with her brother. I accepted. We ate something because we were hungry as hell, and then we watched a movie, Spider-Man, if you are curious. As I was laying on the sofa on my back and she was on the armchair, about 20 minutes into the movie, she also came on the sofa, which didn't really had the space for two people. I made her some space, she sat down and leaned onto my chest. I got my arm out of the way, so she would be comfortable. After a few minutes she crossed her arm over my body, and I put my arm around her waist. I was feeling great so close to her. We watched about another 30 minutes of the movie in that position, when her dad came home. As soon as her dad entered the house, she jumped out of sofa back on the armchair beside the sofa. Probably she didn't want her dad to see us like that, and to be honest, neither did I, so I didn't say anything. After we finished the movie, we went to her room, where we stayed on her bed in similar positions. Again, I was feeling great so close to her. I only left home at 22:30, so we spended the whole day together. As I was getting ready to leave, her mother invited me to come next day to her son's birthday party. Yes, his birthday is right before Christmas. Of course, again, I said yes and that I'll come. To be honest, I wanted to go to the party mostly for his sister. Next day, went to the birthday and had fun. Of course we didn't hug or did anything around other people. Around 1600, when everyone started leaving, her mother said that I could stay as long as I would like. I am kind of a member of the family by now. We went to her room, with one of her good friends, which is also somewhat a part of the family. She again started to lean on me and things like that, and of course I didn't mind, in fact, I really liked it. Her friend made fun of us, but in a nice way. Sadly, for me, I had to leave at 1800 because I had plans with some friends. The whole time I was out with them, until like 2300, we texted each other. She also invited me to the ice park next day. Again, I don't know if it's correct, but her mother didn't let her, probably because it was Christmas Day. In the first day of Christmas, we didn't saw each other, but we texted each other from time to time that day and, miraculously, I made the courage to ask her out next day, and she said yes. Of course something bad had to happen. The next day in the morning she texts me that she'll leave to some kins and that she'll stay there with her family until the new year. Although, she made some time to see me that morning. After she comes from her kins, after the new year, she'll leave on another trip with her family for about a week. The thing is I started to think about her a lot. It may sound stupid for some people, but I never felt like this around a girl. To be honest, I didn't even stay around girls a lot until now. I don't really know what to do next. What if this sentiment between us disappears after those 2 weeks we won't see? I feel so good around her and I don't want to lose that feeling between us. Again, it may sound stupid for some people, but I never had a girlfriend before or anything even close to that, so I don't really know what to do next. Does she even like me or is she just being friendly? It seems that you met your first love, kid. This is a really cute story. Don't worry, she's still going to like you when she returns from staying with family. Text her, or FaceTime, or whatever you kids do these days, and the time will go by quick. Get to know her better, you got this. Also on an English note. Ice park. Ice rink or skating rink. Kins. Family members. The word kin does mean family, but it's not commonly used. Hope that helps. I don't think people born after 1999 are real. Does she even like me or is she just being friendly? She likes you in a romantic way. That's really cute. She probably does like you, and sometimes, when two people that truly like each other are separate, the reunion becomes one of the most important days of their lives. Hope everything goes well for you too. I came here expecting something entirely different, and I'm happy that this is your post. What you're saying isn't stupid, we've all been there. She seems like your first love, and it's okay to have doubts and insecurities. The anxiety is also very common. But take a deep breath, text her in the next few days and during the other trip, and see how it goes. If it goes well, yay. If it doesn't, trust me, kid, it may seem like the end of the world, but it won't be. Good luck. Well, that was the cutest thing I have ever read. Not stupid at all. Please don't think this is stupid. It's far from it. Even at 13 your feelings matter and boy did you catch them. From the sounds of it she does like you too, so just keep doing what you're doing and try not to think about it too much. If she truly feels the same way nothing will change when she gets back. Wishing you all the luck. Wife thinks I'm attracted to her friend. I'm not. I'll start by saying this is not the first time something like this has happened. This is just the most recent example that makes me question if this is going to be a pattern. My wife, 22F. Just recently made a new friend, 21F. She's pretty cool, and we share a few hobbies and have a few things in common and I consider her a mutual friend of ours. It's nice to be able to get along with her friends. I'd much rather not deal with her having friends that hate me. My wife's friend just recently moved. She was in a hurry because her roommates were terrible people and she only had a few things to move that were too heavy and she needed some help. My wife was at work at the time and I told her what was up and she said, "You should go help her." So I headed over to her place and we started loading up and my wife texted me saying that she felt really uncomfortable and didn't want us just hanging out. She said, "Don't leave too much time for, just chillin'. Help her out and then be done with it." So I simply decided to understand and said okay. We headed over to her new place and turns out she doesn't know how to set up her bed, hang her TV, and several other miscellaneous things. I figured I could help her out so I knocked out a few tasks for her so that she could get settled in. Later, I'm back at home and my wife's friend had texted her saying, "Your husband was such a lifesaver today." And she provided her with all the details of the things I did. My wife immediately got upset and said that I didn't have to do any of the stuff I did for her and I replied by saying I just wanted to be helpful and it seemed like the right thing to do. She said, "You're just so concerned about her for some reason. I don't know what it is, but it seems like you're attracted to her." I assured her that it wasn't the case and I thought it was over at that moment. Days later, my wife's friend wanted to express her thanks and asked if she could come over. We had her over for dinner and she brought some alcohol and some food. The three of us started drinking and my wife's friend went over to our piano in the living room and attempted to play a song. I've been playing for about 13 years so I was interested in what she was playing. She said, "I don't really play but I've always wanted to learn at least one song. Could you teach me something?" So we worked at it for a while and I taught her something simple and that basically segued into an hour-long jam session. Later as my wife's friend was about to leave I asked her if she was good to drive or if she drank too much. My wife rolled her eyes and sighed heavily and it created an awkward silence and her friend just ended up leaving. My wife stormed off to the bedroom and ignored me after several, "What's wrong baby?" She eventually came out and once again accused me of being attracted to her friend. I told her, "I am not attracted to your friend. I do, however, wish to be friends with her because she's fun to hang out with." I tried to be as understanding as possible when she asked how I would feel in the same situation. If she was actually attracted to one of my friends, yes I would be upset. I told her this, and she said, "So now you understand my point?" So the rest of the night I felt like a broken record just repeating, "I'm not attracted to her," until eventually we just went to sleep. My wife now has her guard up heavily with her new friend and every time she's around my wife is watching me so heavily I feel that with every word I let out I am incriminating myself to her make-believe accusations. TLDR my wife's friend and I get along really well and share a few common interests. My wife thinks I'm attracted to her but I legitimately am not. What should I do? I don't want my wife to feel like I'm attracted to her friend or anyone else at that, especially when I'm genuinely not attracted to them. There have been times I've felt attraction towards someone and I did the best thing I could and just separated myself from that person and shut it down right away. However, I also want to be able to have friends. I can't just shut people out every time my wife gets jealous. Edit. I appreciate all the advice no matter how much you guys may disagree with my actions. Everyone has a valid point and this is what I've put together. This friend is new. My wife has a gut feeling and I need to trust that. Even though I felt as if I didn't do anything wrong, my wife may have felt like this new girl is a snake. Also, everyone keep in mind I didn't just blatantly ignore my wife while playing piano. I was sitting on the couch with her just telling her what notes to play and when she gave up and asked me to play the song, I did. My wife and her friend sat on the couch together singing along while making requests for the next hour. If anything, my wife made the most requests because she knows what I can play. My wife said that she thought I was trying to impress her friend. I wasn't, but I see where she's coming from. By the way, this girl does have a boyfriend who I also get along with really well. We share the same occupation and I am actually closer friends with him than his girlfriend. I helped her move because her boyfriend was out of town. Also, whenever I called my wife and told her what was up, she wasn't totally in the dark. Her friend had texted her asking if we could help her move, to which my wife replied, "I'm at work, but you can ask my husband." I think your wife is being ridiculous. She asked you to help and then puts conditions on how you're allowed to interact, red flag, and gets mad for doing the thing you asked her to do. That said, so we worked at it for a while and I taught her something simple and that basically segued into an hour-long jam session. So did you two ignore your wife for like over an hour when it was just the three of you? That certainly doesn't help assuage your wife's fears and insecurities. You need to find out where this is coming from. Is she usually this insecure and jealous and untrusting? If so, then you kinda signed up for this by marrying her. If not, maybe together you can get to the bottom of this, but she needs to communicate and not play victim. The piano thing was weird. Your wife sounds insecure, but the friend also sounds a little suspect. Asking you to stay to help and then asking you for piano lessons. Could just be a friendly person, but still. Where was your wife when you were giving the friend these piano lessons? Was she involved at all? Was it just the two of you? She may be more concerned of her friend being attracted to you, but having an hour-long jam session with another woman while your wife just watched was a brutal move on you. If your wife was at work, why is her friend telling you she needed help to move rather than speaking to your wife? How often do you communicate with the friend, or vice versa, and not include your wife in the conversations? I don't think you did anything wrong when you helped her move and set the TV, etc. I do think that playing the piano with her for an hour or more, presumably not involving your wife, isn't right. It's not right to exclude any person out of an activity on a group of three, and given the circumstances of how your wife is feeling, adding to her fears. Given your wife said, "You are so concerned about her," makes me wonder if you might be leaving somethings out here and whether your wife might not be acting completely irrationally after all. This sounds like the budding romance that happens between someone who doesn't establish healthy boundaries with a potential romantic interest and, like, a coworker or something. If being around that new friend makes your wife uncomfortable, then stop being around that new friend. Your responsibility is to your wife, not to be nice and have an hour-long jam session with the woman. Your wife is insecure and you are not helping or even respecting her. Also tell your wife you don't want that friend over if she is having such a problem with her and you hanging out. If you want friends, go and make your own, don't be all chumming with another woman. Your wife doesn't trust you. It's almost like you shouldn't get married before your brain is done developing. Or something. She's showing her insecurities and feels threatened by the attention you show her friend. The best thing is to be yourself. Just be sure to touch, praise or compliment your wife in front of others to help her feel a little more secure. Otherwise you have to avoid her friends. She's going to have to learn that your friendliness and being helpful is nothing more than that.